Wow. So, okay. Unfortunately, there's a lot to unpack here. If you guys have been watching the news, especially today, more likely than yesterday, you're aware that the National Association of Realtors has recently settled their lawsuit regarding buyer's agent commissions. And I'm really glad I decided to wait 24 hours before I posted anything as far as a breakdown of what's going on, because it's really disheartening the amount of misinformation that is being spread by media outlets and news outlets. So I'm going to do the best I can to kind of explain to you guys what's going on and how both consumers will be affected as well as real estate brokers. And just to clarify here, the truth of the matter is any agent out there right now who's telling you that they completely know what's going to happen next is full of shit. This is uncharted territory for all of us, and we are learning things as this situation evolves. But what I can tell you is that yes, the real estate industry as a whole has been significantly changed going forward. So let's kind of dive in on what it means. What does it mean for consumers? That's kind of what you guys are here for. That's what you guys care the most about. So we'll do that part first. For consumers, this is going to have a couple of different implications. The first one being that now when a listing agent goes into negotiations for a listing appointment, they're no longer going to be doing the standard of practice, which is to negotiate a commission for both themselves and for a buyer's agent. The reason for that is that because part of this lawsuit, part of the settlement, is that the BAC or buyer's agent commission is going to be removed from all MLS platforms, as well as other online sites like Redfin, Realtor.com, Zillow, etc. So see that little area where you see buyer's agent compensation being offered, or BAC, on those websites will be going away. So what this means is that the listing agent will essentially be negotiating only for themselves. So when they're negotiating commission with you, whether that's 2%, 6%, 10%, 20%, that's the portion of the commission that they're keeping, period. That's all they're negotiating when they take a listing contract at this point. And it's important to remember too, these changes aren't going to be going into effect until July. So things as of right now are still kind of business as usual, and this is only going into effect should the settlement be approved. So things to note. So the listing agent is going to negotiate their own commission, which in turn leaves the buyer's agent, who's representing a buyer in a transaction, to negotiate their own commission with a buyer. So as a buyer consumer, you are going to be prepared that, like I've talked about this year, I'm implementing BBAs, or buyer broker agreements, to all of my clients because Washington has already made that a law. It went into effect in January. Oregon recently passed the law as well. It wasn't going into effect until later this year. I like to keep all my clients kind of doing the same thing, same processes. So I've already implemented that on my side. So all of my clients, no change there. BBAs are required. The biggest change to consider is the fact that it's no longer going to be check a box that says, oh, we don't want to see houses that aren't offering a BAC because we're not willing to pay our agent. You're going to have to sign an agreement, sign a contract stating that you will pay a commission to your buyer's agent if you cannot negotiate one in a transaction. So that's another caveat here, is that we're not saying that sellers will not be paying the BAC in the future. We're saying it's now become a negotiating point. It's become part of writing it into your contract and asking for it, and sellers can choose to decline. If they decline, the buyer either has to walk away from the property or has to be able to pay their agent themselves. So cash on hand to close is going to be more. I would anticipate that most of you need to anticipate an extra 2.5% on top of your down payment as far as your cash to close. Because that is what we see most commonly as what buyer's agents are expecting for compensation. I should caveat this with every agent is going to be similar to how listing agents do it now. They're going to be charging their own commission. So it's not a set fee. It's not every agent's charging 2.5%. Some agents will charge 2.5%. Some agents will charge 3%, 3.5%. And some agents may even go the route of charging a flat fee for a service rather than a percentage. And I anticipate that mostly because of the fact that buyers are already fairly strapped for cash and it's hard to come up with a large down payment. So this is just another a pain point for buyers going forward. Like I said, this is something that is likely going to be negotiated, especially for the next several months because of kind of the standard of practice in the past. So I anticipate most buyers still trying to negotiate into their contract that the seller is going to pay all of the commissions at the end. But that's not guaranteed. We'll kind of see how that shakes out and how that goes. But buyers need to be prepared to pay their own agents and to sign a BBA, buyer broker agreement nationwide going forward. Now, if you want to work with an agent, you are going to have to go into contract with them. That's kind of the nuts and bolts of the situation right now as far as how it's going to impact you guys as consumers. There's a lot of questions out there. I know that I have concerns about how this is going to impact like VA and FHA buyers. VA buyers are only allowed to contribute a small percentage towards their own closing costs. So are we going to make exceptions for paying their agent? And should buyers choose not to be represented by an agent, are they going to have the same quality of care as the seller side who has an agent representing them? There's a fairness issue that comes into play. So I said there's a lot of details to work out on how this is going to overall impact real estate going forward. So all I can really tell you guys on this at this point, beyond the nuts and bolts, is to be cognizant of what's going on. Pay attention, read the news, stay informed, and ask your real estate broker questions. If you're confused on how this impacts you as a consumer, ask your local realtor or ask me. I'm happy to answer questions. Please leave them in the comments. I will either do separate videos or I'll get back to you directly. This is, like I said, an evolving situation. We are learning more about this each and every day. We are getting good information. The brokerages have been great. The state boards have been great. They're pumping out information as they get it. So we are learning quickly, but this is a learning curve for all of us because unfortunately, it's not just you as a consumer who was blindsided by this. We were as well. This wasn't something that was talked about behind closed doors amongst realtors. This wasn't something that we were made aware may happen. We woke up to the same news as you guys. We may have gotten it about 24 hours sooner, but that's only because it hadn't hit the main headlines, it had hit the real estate headlines. Another important thing to consider though with this is please be aware of the misinformation out there. So like a lot of posts I'm seeing right now from major news outlets are saying things along the lines of, the NAR's 5 to 6% listing fee is going away. NAR does not charge a 5 to 6% listing fee. That's completely fake. Every realtor out there charges their own fees. We're not governed by NAR in that sense. We charge our fees, and that's the end of it. Some agents charge 5, some agents charge 6, some agents charge 4, some agents charge 2. Like it really just varies agent to agent. That is not a governed thing. It's not a set in stone thing. That is actually a violation of Sherman antitrust laws. So it's that headline is clickbait. And the other important thing to remember is that while sellers may not be obligated to offer a BAC, which they honestly have never been obligated, it's just changing the verbiage. It's going to still be encouraged, all the things. But while sellers may no longer be offering a BAC publicly in the as a commission thing, we as brokers factor our commissions into sales price most of the time historically. So there's still every chance that a good quality listing agent is going to say, I'm still charging my seller 6%. I'm just keeping the whole thing. I'm not dropping my commission down to 3.5% or to 2% or whatever because we're no longer paying the BAC. I'm going to charge 6% or I'm going to charge 5% and I'm going to keep it all. I'm going to profit better. There's nothing stopping any agent from doing that. I don't expect a lot of agents to do that, but I do expect some top agents and some agents who are in high demand in hot markets, that type of thing, because it's going to create a sense of exclusivity with that agent. So just be aware, the headline of saying that commissions are going down is not an accurate headline. We don't know what they're going to do. We don't know what each individual agent is going to charge. I haven't even decided how this completely impacts my business, other than the fact that I can tell you from my buyer side, I will never be charging you more than 2.5%. But I'm not even set on that being my number right now, but that is what I'm commonly paid as a buyer's agent when I work with buyers. So I will never, I'm not going to try to upcharge that now, just because I have the power to negotiate for myself. That is kind of the standard of care, and I'll be sticking with that. Long-term implications, like I said, we really don't know. There's issues with appraisals here. There's issues with with VA buyers. There's a lot of things that we still have to work through to understand how this is going to impact people long term. Are these costs going to be able to be wrapped up in the loan? Because once again, I think a really fair thing to remember here that a lot of people like to forget is from the buyer's point of view, they're paying both commissions. From the seller's point of view, they're paying both commissions. Because the truth of the matter is traditionally speaking, the buyer is the one who is bringing the funds to close on the house. So from their point of view, out of those funds, they're paying both the listing agent and the buyer's agent. They paid both sides of the commission. But sellers have the opposite view, and the verbiage in traditional contracts tends to favor the seller's view that, oh, we negotiated the prices, we're paying the commissions out of our proceeds. But the truth is that brokers, if you have brokers involved in your transactions, just like anything outside of real estate that involves a broker, they get paid off of the transaction, period. That's just, it comes out of, to me, it's almost a neutral situation. I don't feel like the seller's paying it or the buyer's paying it. I feel like the proceeds from this transaction, kind of like a tax, are being paid to the people who came in and facilitated this transaction. But anyway, points of view are going to differ, and that's totally fine. Like I said, we are learning as we go. I'll keep you guys as informed as I possibly can. And if you have any specific questions, please feel free to reach out directly to me. I want to get you guys those answers and make sure that you guys are aware of what's coming down the road. One last tidbit for consumers right now, buyers and sellers both, is that I do think that this presents an interesting window to proceed sooner rather than later. On the seller side, what this is likely going to do is if you are continuing to offer a BAC prior to July, that is going to motivate more buyers to come into your property because they aren't going to have to pay their own agent. So they may even be willing to pay a higher price for the home to know that they're not going to be kind of stampeded in this situation and have to come up with additional funds in July. So more buyers are likely to come to the market. As a buyer, this works in your favor as well because once again, things are business as usual until July, and once again, that's if this all gets accepted and approved. But as of right now, you should be anticipating that as of July 1st of 2024, you will need more cash to close a transaction. So if you're scrimping and saving right now to get your down payment and you don't think you can come up with an extra 2.5% in the next, 4 months, there's a very good chance that you need to go ahead and proceed with your transaction sooner rather than later. So this creates an interesting opportunity for both buyers and sellers to take advantage of the situation, but it is a very small window. Anyway, I hope this video is helpful and informative to you guys. Once again, direct questions, specific questions, leave them below and I will get it back to you as soon as I possibly can. As always, please give us a like and a follow. It's a huge help for me in the business. I'm Jacob Fowler with eXp Realty in Oregon and Washington. I'll see you guys back here next week. Bye-bye.